Halloween flop. I'm not saying basically. Chickens give you salmonella.
And I better not say,
Welcome to the Better1 podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tyler Wells, joined with the man who was trapped in a Jumanji game board for 6 years, Joshua Dawson. How you doing, brother?
Don't open the box!
What was that?
That was my best Robin Williams impersonation in Jumanji.
That was terrifying. I wasn't ready. Give me them old man scares. Speaking of being an old man, so I was watching the Joe podcast Rogan, the Joe Rogan podcast.
It was Joe Rogan,
and so he was talking about how he got the new iPhone, and I was just thinking that I'm getting so old, I don't know what the new iPhone models are, and so I thought it was the iPhone XR this whole time, and then I'm probably sitting there for like a month, like. I don't know.
And I wasn't much better because he asked me to, and I was like, yeah, it's like the XLR or some XR6, 7, I don't know.
It's sounding like a fancy sports car.
Yeah. It's the Audi XR6, 7 iPhone.
Ready for the new experience. Go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. The iPhone XLR.
But, like, when are we going to give up on this whole, like, let's make up like titles as we go along with Apple, you know what I mean?
We're just to that point to where we don't even go linear anymore because it was just like we did numbers and numbers. Oh yeah, it's great because you can do that forever.
Yeah,
you have the iPhone 999, but now they're on letters.
And that was the joke. Like in the future, it's going to be like the iPhone 990. You know?
Didn't they skip too? Didn't we already have the iPhone X? Didn't it?
Yeah,
skip?
Yeah.
No, it's for the 10th anniversary.
I feel like they're going to do like take a page out of Microsoft's book and do like this is the iPhone 360, and then they're like this is the iPhone 720.
It's going to be like the glasses all the way around.
Yeah,
Victoria, you can like rotate.
Whoa, sick. Well, other than that, we do feel a little bit old too because we went and saw Halloween.
Yeah, we were ready for it. You know, good. We love our horror movies.
Yeah, and Halloween is definitely like I know it's one of Tyler's favorites. Yeah. It's definitely like one of the top 5 in my book with classic horror movies.
Any suspense thriller movie is something I like. I like the feel of movies and stuff like that. So we decided to go see the new Halloween. Because we're, got to do the spooky season.
We did it for you guys. We went and saw it for you guys. That's the only reason.
And you can send us the check because even though that movie made $100 million and what is it? It's been out 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was fucking ass.
So bad. And I couldn't have been more disappointed. And I want to warn everyone who listens to this. I know it's probably not a giant outrage. But do not go see this movie. And there are a few spoilers ahead, just so you guys are aware. Just if you want, so it starts out decent. It gives you a good feel to the movie. It's got a lot of good callbacks to the original, which it's like his outfit, how he gets his mask, stuff like that. They do that properly, and then it just goes downhill right from there. And it's bad when all we did the whole movie was just talk amongst ourselves. Like we didn't even watch the movie. That's how ass it was. One of our favorite quotes is there's a cop who's like he looks like a Texas Ranger because he's wearing a cowboy hat, and he goes, "What are we gonna do? Cancel Halloween?" And we're just like, and then so that's when the kills start. And every time there was a kill, I'd whisper over to Josh and I'd be like, what are we gonna do? Cancel Halloween? And when he first said that line, I'm like, what the fuck? Are they copying Jaws now? Like, we can't shut down the beaches, Chief Brody. It's like, yes, we can. we can't cancel 4th of July. Like, I'm pretty sure if you were worried about a psychopath, you would shut down Halloween. Yeah. Like, especially because should stop that. Well, and to give you a little more background, like Michael's, of course, in a state penitentiary, and their idea is let's transfer him, even though he's fine being chained to like a goddamn like cinder block. But they're like, let's transfer him, and then he, of course, gets out because the bus crashes somehow. He overpowers him, but I mean, even his doctor. So of course, he takes over. There's a new doctor because. He's dead. Like, the guy who played Loomis is dead. Right, yeah. The original one. And, even they could have done Malcolm McDowell, even though that's the Rob Zombie. I don't know. I mean, don't think anyone had a problem with that. But even he's, like, warning against it. He's like, he's fine here. He's been here for 40 years. Yeah. Why are they going to transfer him to this? It's basically, like, the worst
mental facility in the state.
And the other funny part is, like, you see Michael without his mask on in the state penitentiary, and
his neck.
Well, his profile, yeah. I'll say, and it reminded me of a mixture of Woody Harrelson and Michael Keaton, like the way it looked.
It just looks like they grabbed any guy off the street and was like, "Can we use your neck?
You're tall, right? Yeah, you're in." And then. And just to give you an idea of the script and the acting in it, terrible. Because there's literally a line in it about a kid basically gets... Well, let's go back a little bit. Because it has, obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie, her original character. And then her daughter is in it, played by Judy Greer. And if you don't know who she is, she voices Cheryl in Archer. And she also plays...
There's also Kitty in Arrested Development.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember her name. So she's Laurie's daughter, and then Laurie's granddaughter is in it, and she, for whatever reason, whoever wrote the script decided to make the granddaughter only call Jamie Lee Curtis by grandmother. And we're like, well, that's fucking weird.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone call their grandma grandmother.
Grandmother. To grandmother's house we go. So
that's funny, too.
There's basically the granddaughter, Vicky, I think is her name, Icky Vicky.
Vicky was her friend.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Babysitter, because...
Allison? What is her name?
Vicky. Yeah, I think it was Allison.
Yeah, but... So she, like, totally rejects this guy, and if you've watched enough movies, you'll know this line, but he looked like Rocky Dennis, like, incarnate, almost. He rejects this kid.
He's the beta best friend, so she's dating his friend, and they're at the dance, and he basically...
gets drunk.
Yeah, he's cheating on his girlfriend because his girl, who looks like Tony the Tiger, ends up kissing him.
Right. So, therefore, Rocky Dennis's idea is to console her.
This is my move.
Right. So, he tries to make the move, and she rejects him, and he's like, I'm so sorry, Allison, like... I was just drunk, and these chicks they're feeding me guacamole, and I have boners, and like it was.
Yeah, he goes on this deep seated rant of this dark feelings, and she's like already over the fence and gone.
You could tell like that one of the writers and or producers was like, I got to put this rejection in here that I got at the Halloween dance when I was 18.
And of course, I mean you see the typical horror movie fence, where they have the spike, like it's like the cast iron spike.
Yeah,
and you're like, that guy's gonna get impaled on that, and so of course. He's talking to the groundskeeper's like, I'll get off your property soon. And then, well, who is it?
Michael
Myers. Which is, that's why I think that's probably the other problem with the movie that I had, is that it's so predictable that I think we laughed more than we were scared.
Yeah.
Like, there were no jump scares. Everything you knew was coming.
No.
And it was just, he moves so fast compared to the original Michael Myers.
He's like fast walking compared to the last movies.
It's almost not... Like, the thing that makes Halloween creepy is the fact that he moves so slow, and it's like, it seems like no matter how far you run, he catches up to you, even though he walks.
Right.
And he does that in there, but he's just faster.
He's booking it in this one.
He's pretty fast.
Like, they're like, oh no, run! And that was like part of like the draw with Halloween, is that you basically were like, he just walks slowly and he still gets their ass. Like, but
which I say it gives them that. The thing I like about Halloween is that it has more of a mystical tone.
Right.
In a way, but it just seems like he was a regular
suspenseful
serial killer.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're just like, yeah, Michael's old, and he just wants to go out for killing before he gets transferred to another facility.
I escaped, it's time to kill.
So, and there was definitely, because the three females I mentioned that are the protagonists in this movie, if you will, there's definitely an undertone.
There's an agenda, for sure.
Just a little bit. To the point where, at the end...
They also don't do a very good job, because they show the relationship between them is really rocky, because Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter gets taken by child services when she's 12, because basically Jamie Lee Curtis has become a shut-in and turned her entire house into like a
doomsday prepper type shit.
House.
Yeah.
And so she goes on to do that, and her whole house is set up like that. She's got like gates that she can drop by hitting a button.
And there's the island in the kitchen, like she hits a garage door opener and it opens up. So they more or less, like, Michael gets out, he starts chasing everybody around, and of course they find out that Allison is missing, the granddaughter.
She's on the street, she runs Rocky Dennis. does that whole spiel,
gets killed.
She runs away,
and then so more or less Laurie comes like armed and ready, like which and that was the other thing we forgot to mention. They have the deputy that stopped Loomis from shooting. In the first Halloween, he shows up and makes a cameo.
He's like ready to kill Michael, and so the Hawkins, the doctor that's taking care of Michael, and then Allison are in a cop car because they found her in a house because she was like knocking on every house, and then they pick her up and they're like keep an eye peeled out for Michael's, and I shit you not, 3 seconds later they're like, there he is, and then they hit him with a cop car.
Yeah, and your first thought, especially if I was Hawkins and had dealt with Michael before, don't get out of the fucking car.
Like, I think he's just hot and ready. He's ready to.
He's like bam. We kept saying because him and Laurie like the whole time, because Jamie Lee Curtis is like strapped through the whole movie, so we're just like, hit him with the bookie up. Even though it never really there was maybe 3 gunshots in the whole movie, if that.
It's always the same thing. They always just kind of wound him.
Yeah, they shoot him and it's always superficial to where it's like,
he's fine.
Yeah, he'll make it. But if we were to give it a love it or hate it scale, definitely hate it because
if you want Halloween, just watch the original 2. The original 2 are plenty.
Right, that's true. And the other thing is that they have Blumhouse Productions on this one, which I said to Tyler, I'm like, since when did they become the authority on horror movies?
I knew it, but I read an article that they did a good job. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this movie. And its opening weekend, it made $77 million. Clearly, I was thinking, this is probably a good movie. And then I sat there after that movie ended, looked over at Josh, I was like, did we get tricked? We definitely got tricked.
Yeah.
Watch this whole movie.
We got duped. And not to mention the ending literally is a callback to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, though, the first one, because they all jump in the back of a truck and they get whisked away, and it's just them sitting there we did it.
And then so the ending is just not what you'd want, because in a way I think John Carpenter, I think he wants the whole series to kind of die off.
Oh yeah.
I think his first 2 movies, I think he's proud of those.
Yeah.
He wants that to be the only thing, but I think the way he got rid of Halloween, if they don't do another one, is to end it that way.
Right.
And to kind of be he's not coming back. But I wish in a way that it would have ended to where Jamie Lee Curtis would have died, but she would have taken Michael with her.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen at all.
There's a part in the movie where basically the doctor believes that Michael lives just to kill Laurie.
And she lives just to be preyed on by him.
So it's kind of that's how they keep each other alive. And I thought if they were both dead, it would end the series and it would be fine.
Right.
Which I think is a good way to end it.
But more or less, the traps we were talking about in her house, she booby traps him and basically walls him in with blades so he can't get out of the basement. And then she just lights the pilot light while they're still standing in the house.
Yeah, it's letting all the rooms on fire except the kitchen for some reason.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then the other thing that we thought was hilarious is she preps the whole house. She's got this huge metal bar that she puts in locks in place with 5 locks on her front door, and there's still glass on the front door.
She has a glass front door. Michael punches through with his hands and then grabs her by her neck
and chokes the fuck out of her
against the door.
Yeah, and she hits him with the fucking Mossberg pump somehow.
Yeah, in the hand.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just definitely put a sour taste in my mouth overall. I could describe
that movie in one word. I think it's more of a conjunction, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt after I was like, whatever.
Yeah, there was really no saving grace to it, except for the special effects and the kills, like we said. Some of them weren't bad, but
I would definitely say that was where it shines.
Right.
And the mask looks good. He looked he's a good looking character.
Right.
He is scary, but they don't set anything up to be scary. He just you're I know he's gonna kill that guy.
Yeah.
He steps on the guy's head and pops him like a watermelon.
Yeah.
That part's cool. I'm like, oh, okay.
Tight.
All the kills are cool, but it doesn't do anything for it. Anyone who's seen a modern day horror movie is I've seen effects like that
before.
It's
wow.
Especially Blumhouse, they do the same thing. The Purge does the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, still not as scary as, Amy Schumer being pregnant, but, it is what it is.
She procreated?
Surprised they allowed her to.
Yeah, exactly. Who let this happen?
I mean, definitely. I mean, there's other places. If you want to watch a good horror movie because it's the Halloween season, there's better places to do that. And the place I was looking, I was on Hulu, and I saw that they had a whole section. It's called Halloween, and so they have a bunch of different categories you watch. So you can do there's scary style, spooky not scary, pop horror, and thriller.
Yeah, because for kids, for suspense, and then for get your slasher flicks, and they have those all in one category.
A couple ones I saw that stuck out. There's Amityville Horror. There's Child's Play, Chucky.
Right.
Like that. Shutter Island, which has Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
Which I wouldn't consider that a horror.
It's
that's
kind of
definitely
a thriller.
Yeah, that's more of a suspenseful thriller.
Like I said, that's my favorite, so I always pick that.
It's like a mindfuck horror movie.
28 weeks later, I actually, that scares me because that's a terrifying setting. And I think, is it Alaska? It's Alaska.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think any setting like that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Children of the Corn, where I was born.
Malachi! He wants you too, Malachi. No, I did see a couple on there that was, worth watching, and it wasn't just some of the Netflix campy horror movies. It was more classics than anything.
Yeah, they have you finally get the classics where you're like, oh, I can watch that there instead of you having to go buy it from Amazon and stuff like that, which is how I have Halloween. Other classic movies,
right?
As they sit on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and I wish they would just they could stream them all year long, but I know that that's the draw. Yeah. It's people will subscribe just so that they can watch Halloween movies on Netflix and on Hulu, on Amazon Video.
Yeah, they're always trying to get new subscribers instead of people who just use their friends' accounts all the time. So.
Right, exactly. And we did do a little more homework for you guys this week because we both we drew straws and who was going to watch horror shit on Netflix.
Yeah, so we wanted to figure out what we would watch because we wanted to review something that you guys could watch.
And I went with The Haunting of Hill House, which I've seen a lot of posts about on social media.
And I watched a movie. It was called Apostle, and then a movie called Hold the Dark, which I'm sure you've seen pop up in the ads, because that's how I found them.
Right. Which, out of the two, which one do you want to do first, and which one did you prefer over the other?
Probably Apostle. I would say Apostle probably appeals to more people, because it's about he's basically a drifter, and he goes out, and he's going to save his sister, who's basically joined a cult, but they said that she didn't join a cult. She got abducted, essentially.
Human trafficking for Satan.
Yeah. I mean, they're not even... I mean, they have their own religion, in a way.
Oh, okay.
So it's completely different. And then they take you to an island, and his card gets marked, basically, because he's saying that there's a ransom, so they want money for her back.
Right.
Like the cult does.
Right.
And so they mark his card to say that he has it. And he tricks an old man and takes his card to be like, yeah, it's him. And then so that old guy gets beaten and killed.
Oh,
and he lives. And they're trying to find the traitor the whole time. And then they have it. It's like an undertone that there's a religion going on, but no one really knows why. And there's one guy who's the prophet,
or where they started, or
yeah. So the one guy is a prophet, and the other guy's the leader of it, and they quarrel together,
right,
of who should run it. And he's like, well, I answer to the goddess, basically. And it goes through the entire thing. Is he finds her, and then there's this goddess she's intertwined with the trees.
What it reminds me, is it that Camilla, or what movie was that back in the day where it was this thing, the female spirit in a tree,
yeah,
or eat people or something like that?
And
yeah.
so she feeds off of blood.
Oh my god!
And so they start with animal blood, animal blood, and they find out. So later, it's not basically quenching her thirst,
right?
And so
it hungers more.
Yeah. So she's the goddess of the island. So when she is fed, it takes care of the island.
Right.
So he starts feeding her his blood.
Right.
And then they find out that it's not enough because their harvest isn't going through. So they start sacrificing people to the goddess.
Right.
Yeah.
Do they have a name for the goddess? Or no?
I don't think they do.
No.
It just says goddess, because I usually have the closed captions on, so it has goddess, and then...
Right.
So he goes through all this, he's finding out secrets about the island, the island that they're on. and he finds his sister in the house that they're doing, like, the prophet. Like, the guy tries to overthrow him. That there's a kid, I think it's the prophet's son, is with the daughter of the other leader.
Right.
And he gets her pregnant.
Uh-oh.
And the guy finds out that she's pregnant and, kills the daughter.
Oh my god.
The son, like, attacks him with a razor?
Straight razor.
Yeah, like, straight razor.
Yeah.
And he ends up doing that, and then he's like, he murdered her, and he flips it on him, and they set him up, and then he kills the prophet's son, and then they go through all this stuff.
Oh, shit.
And then main character, his name's Thomas Richardson, he ends up finding his sister in the bag, releases her. Other leader captured her because he gets, like, bashed in the head by this guy who looks like he's from Silent Hill.
Yeah.
He's got this, like, beehive tree, like, root thing on his head.
Oh, God.
And he's
like Pyramid Head, but all natural.
Absolutely. I was like, that's a good costume design because he's shirtless. He's like covered in blood, and he doesn't say anything. I was like, that's a good character design.
That's fucking scary.
And he puts him onto this table that like rolls him up, and he's like lumbering to roll him up into this. It's almost like a grinder looking thing. And then of course he flips it, gets away. And,
right.
They escape the island. He stays on the island, and then he like lays back with the prophet who's also there, and then the island starts to wrap around him because his blood's like dripping onto the island,
right?
And it takes him, and then that's how it ends. And they're on a boat, and they go away,
take off.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely got a good feel to it, I would say.
Still kind of a weirder story.
It's more weird. Like it's not like scary, but it's got it's. Like, you unravel, like, what's going on the whole time.
Yeah, it's almost like almost M. Night Shyamalan kind of esque movie with people living in the woods or otherwise.
The whole time I was like, what is going on? I was like, this is so...
Please help, I don't understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Hold the Dark, it's about, like, lycanthropy, or am I wrong?
I mean, not really, but it starts out that her son dies to a wolf, is what she says, and she sends a letter to a guy who he's studied wolves and he's killed a wolf before. So she sends a letter to him saying like, this wolf has killed multiple children in the town.
Right.
The cops won't help. Will you kill this wolf for me?
Okay.
So he comes all the way to Alaska to do that, and then he basically finds out that she has this mask that she wears, and then she's like she's naked in a tub. Yeah, so
like when he shows up.
Yeah, so her husband's away. I think he's in Iraq.
Right.
And it's Alexander Skarsgård he's Brad in Generation Kill, which he's also in Iraq, so it's kind of weird.
Right.
And he goes and she like wraps up in him, has the wolf mask on. She's like taking a bath at night. He's laying on the couch. She comes out naked with a wolf mask on. Yeah, and takes off the mask and curls up with him. And then she takes his hand and puts it around her neck to try to choke her.
Oh my god.
So he's like, what the hell?
This is turning into a snuff film really quickly.
I'm like, oh, this is weird for the first 10 minutes of this. And then part of it, she says that her son was sick at the beginning too. Like, oh, he left me with a sick son. And then he was like, oh, how'd you meet your husband? And she's like, oh, I don't know a time where I never knew him. And you're like, that's a little strange. Like,
okay.
Because they're white.
Right.
They live in like an Inuit town almost.
Okay.
Like it's small, probably like 40, 50 people.
Right.
Type stuff. And they live like an hour and a half away from the main city.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do that, and she's like talking about that. And then he goes off to hunt the wolves, and he meets the wolves, and they're not aggressive to him.
Right.
So he's like, he loses his gun. He's ready to like shoot him, and they're not aggressive to him at all. And it goes through that.
So it leads the question: where the fuck does this bitch think that?
The wolves
are mean. Yeah.
And so he goes back to the house. He finds out he's like, she's gone, and he's like, where is she? He finds an unlocked door to the basement. He goes to the basement. He finds the kid wrapped up.
Oh god.
Suffocated.
Oh god.
In the bottom. And she's like warning, before she warned him as well about the dark and like how the dark gets to you.
Right.
And you're like, that's kind of ominous. And it finds out later that like the lady in the tribe says that she's possessed by a wolf demon.
Okay.
and that she has a darkness inside of her. And they go back, and then he says what she says, and the cops are like, well, they're not helpful. That's what they say. She's possessed by a wolf demon. So if we could get yours, that'd be great.
Right.
And then they go on the hunt for the woman, because the guy comes back, he sees the body, he kills all the cops, takes the kid from the mortician,
right,
buries him with his friend, puts like a blood marking on it. Like, it's really weird, and you're like, what is going on?
Pet cemetery type shit.
Yeah, it's like a protection, like a blood protection thing. And then he basically goes on to kill all these other people in town. He kills the old lady who, she's like, you attack an old woman? What's an old woman supposed to do?
You're a witch.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. She's an old witch. She's like, you dare attack an old witch or something like that, and he kills her.
Which is never a good idea in a horror movie.
He's trying to stay ahead of the cops. He's trying to get to her before the cops do, and they think it's because he wants to kill her.
Right.
And it goes on later. He kills more people. They find her because he remembers the writer remembers a story about a hot spring that they said. And then the cops get there, like, land a plane. He gets, like, shot by an arrow. The guy has a wolf mask that he got from, I guess she, like, stopped by to get, like, to get goods. And then, so Alexander Skarsgård goes to the guy, like, the medicine guy who's, like, in a lodge.
Right.
And he was like, I remember you. And he's like,
bitch, what?
Yeah, he's like, me and my father came here once. And he gave him wolf oil to heal his sickness, because he was really sick. And I was like, it's weird again.
This is really getting supernatural and freaky.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, like, what are they talking about? And then it goes on later, he finally finds him. He kills the cop that's with him. The writer hunts him down. He gets shot by an arrow when he finds the girl. He's like, your husband's coming to kill you. And then the husband shoots him with an arrow. And then he goes to, like, choke her he's got the wolf mask on, and he goes to choke her. And then she lifts the wolf mask up, like, knocks it off, and then they kiss. And totally fine. Like, this was the plan all along, and you're like, what is going on?
What am I watching?
And then so Alexander Skarsgård pulls out the arrow and lets him live, and he's like, well, why are you letting me live? And he goes, because you found us. And it's basically they let him live because he understands wolves. And then so eventually you find out that it's all intertwined, that the mask has something to do with wolves, and you have to let the wolf out in you.
Right.
It's like the wild side.
Right.
And he's protecting him, and they wanted to protect the son from the evil.
So that justifies killing him or strangling him and putting him in the basement?
Yeah, so there's a part where the wolves are killing a pup, and that's part of nature. So the guy, he's like, they kill their pups because it's for the survival of the horde, because when they're low on food, they kill their pups so other people can eat.
Right.
Other wolves can eat,
Right.
And it's for the survival
and they don't want the pups to die
and
suffer.
The reason that I got from it was that they killed their son to save him from the darkness that was inside both of them. Because you find out that they're twins.
The parents
are
twins?
Parents are twins, and the kid is a product of incest.
Oh, well, no wonder. He's got some darkness in him.
Yeah, so that's why and that's where I thought, well, that's why he's sick,
Right.
Probably has, like, a mental issue with
probably.
Because he's, like, playing alone. Like, in the first scene, he's playing in the snow with, like, army men. He's, like, packing the snow in, like,
Right.
And basically, it goes that he's doing that because he's sick, and they want to save him from the darkness. And there's also a scene that calls back to that as well. They go hunting, and the sun kills a deer, and then Alexander Skarsgård goes, "How does that make you feel?" And he goes, "Good."
Oh God!
And I'm like, "Oh, that kid's a little serial killer freak, dude." I'm a little worried.
I'm glad they snuffed this bastard out.
Yeah, and so they kill him, and I'm assuming it's because he had, like, the killing darkness in him.
Right. So he probably would have done the same thing that his parents did and or have done.
Yeah, and so they essentially saved him from that. He's a child of sin.
Yeah.
And then it kind of ends like that, open-ended, and then they get the casket from where they buried the kid, and they're, like, pulling him in the snow, and the wolf pack is behind them.
What?
So I'm assuming something like that, like the wife's, like, possessed, the husband protects her, like the pack, they killed the son to save him from the evil.
Quote unquote.
And because she says that the darkness gets into you.
Right.
So I think that's the whole reasoning behind it. So, I mean, It's another one of those movies where it's just creepy in the feel.
Right. So,
and as it unravels, you're just like, what?
So, Apostle, love it or hate it?
I would say love it.
Okay.
I would say it's definitely worth a watch. And then Hold the Dark, I don't think everyone's going to like it, but I liked it.
Right. So it's kind of use your discretion.
Yeah, I would say if you like, the only thing I didn't like about the movie is that it was an open ending.
Right.
And I don't really like stuff like that.
Yeah, well, because you know that they're just setting it up for like a fucking money milker sequel.
I don't even think there's going to be a sequel, but they'll just leave it because they're like, it's your interpretation. And I think it's a lazy way to end movies.
Leave it ended. So, as I said, I watched The Haunting of Hill House, and I didn't know until I was probably like 4 or 5 episodes in that it was based on a book from the 50s, which is like
the only way I've heard.
Like it's a great psychological thriller. Is the stuff I read. I enjoyed it. Like I usually don't like horror series anymore. Like because I was not into the whole American Horror Story, Stranger Things hype. Like
I like Stranger Things, but I don't like. I mean,
American Horror Story is way overhyped, though.
I can see how people like American Horror Story.
And I watched the first season of that, and it definitely reminded me of that in this one. Because they, more or less, they are in this house that has a lot of supernatural, paranormal things kind of going on.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth between the 1990s and 2018 when the kids are... collectively, because there's 5 siblings, Luke, Shirley, Nell, Theodora, and Steve. And Steve's the oldest, who ironically becomes a writer. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, and their names are Crane, so it's Stephen Crane. I'm like, Stephen King, huh? So it follows these 5 siblings when they're... It flops back and forth that you really have to be paying attention to it, because if you're not, you're going to be like, why are they kids again?
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, okay, I get it now. So it goes back to when they're kids and first learning about what's afflicting the house and them, because the mom is... You slowly find out that the mom is Gina Davis is her name. She played the probation officer for Mickey Rourke in Sin City. You remember her?
It's been a really long time since I've seen Sin City.
She's been in a lot of other...
focus on other things and I'm watching that movie.
But that was the only thing I could remember off the top of my head that she was in. But she kind of lets loose slowly but surely that she is sensitive to, like I guess...
apparitions?
Yeah, or just paranormal and stuff like that. Like, she says that, like... Because Theodora, you find out, can touch people and, like, can know, like, their true... like self with the snap of the finger almost.
Should have done the snap and snap.
I know. It was kind of like, duh! So it's you kind of wonder if the mom is just crazy or mentally ill, because that's what the kids are led to believe, that she was just mentally ill.
Well, I mean, I guess before anything would happen,
right?
That would be your first thing. It's like, she's crazy.
Yeah, and the whole plan.
Like Jamie Lee Curtis, like, she's crazy.
Yeah, she's
shut in.
She's just crazy. So the whole plan is that they buy this house, they're gonna flip it, and then they're gonna live in their dream home together as a family.
They should do a show like that on HGTV.
Yeah, almost haunted flippers, you know. So. You definitely see, like, the older kids, like, I'd say the first 3, Nell, not Nell, excuse me, Shirley, Steve, and Theodora, they definitely see things, but they're not as afflicted as the younger 2, which are the twins, Luke and Nell, and you really start to, like, feel, like, bad for them, because they see everything that's going on.
Tormented almost.
Right, and then but the parents are like, oh, it's nothing, like, they think it's just, like, school kid shit, like, oh, it's just a nightmare, like, don't worry about it.
It's like Poltergeist, isn't it?
Yeah, like, they're here, kind of, like, stuff, but, like, the poor little girl's, like, seeing, like, this bent neck lady the whole time, like, and then Luke is seeing this little girl that lives on the grounds and he's drawing pictures of her, and then he also sees what turns out to be the patriarch of the Hill family, who's like got this like duster coat on and like one of those bowler hats and a cane. But every time he sees him, like when he's younger, when he's older, he's like floating above the ground, and he looks like 7 foot tall. So Nell more or less becomes a basket case like the mother, and Luke becomes a heroin addict.
I can see it.
And you're like, well, damn, it really fucked them up, because the older ones definitely have the older siblings have their problems, but they just
their family,
right, but they just chalk it up to, well, there's mental illness in the family, just hold it together, you know what I mean? And ironically, Theodora becomes a psychiatrist, so that's kind of funny. And
your best doctors are, your patients.
Those that have been like tormented, right? So, and then like Nell. She gets, Shirley, excuse me, I keep mixing up Nell and Shirley. Shirley, she owns a funeral home, and you find out later on that the reason why is because the mom kills herself, and that's what you're led to believe, and she has to see the mom all dressed up in the casket, and she sees how pretty they did with, making her look like she should, that she wants to become a mortician, so she owns a mortuary on her property, which leads to, like, some scarier shit in the later episodes. But they're... Overall, it's not, like, jump scares, like you were saying, like, you didn't... Like, Halloween and the movies, other movies that you watched, there wasn't any jump scares. Yeah, like, that's what I was expecting. But a lot of it was just, like, you're staring at one character and you look in the background and you see somebody, like, hovering behind him and you're like, oh, shit, that's fucked. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, that's a little creepy. And then there's, like, one or twos that I was like, it was predictable, and usually Tyler knows me well enough that I hate it when it's predictable. Like, that's when I get, like, turned off by watching it, but it didn't really, like, sway me from finishing it.
Probably because was the story good enough to make up for that?
Yeah, I mean, because the dad tries to be the glue that holds the kids and the ailing mother, like, together, and then they all lose their mind, quote unquote, when it happens, but more or less they keep seeing the dead mom, they keep seeing, like, the ghosts that afflicted them in the house, and it leads them back to the house in the final, like,
to solve it.
Right, in the final 3 episodes. So, like, for example, like, Luke, like, wants to burn the fucking thing down, so he, like, puts all this gas on the floor, lights it, and you literally see it like a woof, like Punisher style, where, like, he sets off shit at the end, and you're like, oh, this house is going down, this is it, and then it just disappears, and you're like, no.
That's crazy.
So, and poor Nell, like, ends up hanging herself in the house. Spoiler alert, she is the bent neck lady that she's been seeing since she was a kid. So you literally...
It's like a premonition.
Yeah, so it's creepy, because, like, the mom shows up and she goes, okay, now it's time to wake up. And all of a sudden you see her, like, fall through the floor, and it's going back to when she was a kid and looking up and screaming at this, like, thing hovering above her bed and shit, and you're just like, damn, that was a total, like...
That's good, man.
Yeah, it was like, alright, I'll accept that one, that was pretty cool, like, that's something that I didn't see coming, but, I didn't read any other, because I saw an article where they basically said that they neutered the frickin' story from the book. So I would kind of like to read the book, but I'm like, any film or TV adaptation...
It's hard to watch something and then go back and read the book. I do the opposite.
Right.
If you're going to do anything. So I'll do that a lot. I'll read books before I watch movies.
Right.
Even though it usually ruins it for me, but...
Yeah, so I didn't think that it was terrible. Like I said, there was some, like, definite parallels to American Horror Story, the first season, but it didn't, like... affect me going, well, it's stupid, I'm not, but I definitely went into it with the mindset, like, I'm just doing this for this episode, we'll see how it goes, and then I actually kind of enjoyed it. I'm like, texting Tyler, like, damn, this is getting twisted.
He's like, good thing I watched it, actually. He's like, I'm actually surprised with how good it is.
And just a little side note, if you can't guess which one's the hot sister, it's Theodora, the psychiatrist.
Oh, Theodora.
But, I'm a little biased because I work in behavioral health, so maybe that's something what's wrong with me.
Yeah, it's always that, like, complex on the same thing. Like, when I see, like, a girl medic, I'm like, ooh.
Oh,
like,
baby.
Hey, girl.
So... On the hate,
like, look at you working.
Yeah, you lift that stretcher, guy.
Ooh, medicine ratio. Ooh.
So on the love it or hate it scale for the Better1 podcast, I'd say I love it.
Hate it.
Yeah, I mean it was a fine line until, like, the end, but I'd definitely give it a watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can put in any effort to watching stuff like that, I think you always have to hear from people that when does it get good.
Right.
and stuff like that. So you can actually put in the time, because you don't want to feel like you waste your time watching a 10-episode series if they're an hour apiece. You wasted 10 hours of your life.
Yeah, and I had, like, when I was saying that I saw so many social media posts about it, they were saying, like, it's boring for the first 3 episodes, but it's mostly just character building, because there's 5 siblings, and you have to, like, know each one, and they keep flipping back and forth to when they're a kid and to when now, and then when it finally, like, it's in the present the whole time when they're the last 3 episodes when they're actually in the house.
Yeah. I'll say anything. I think it's commercials that kind of ruin it, because it's terrifying, and then if it's not, you're kind of disappointed, because you go in there. There's people who like different genres of horror,
right?
And there's people that they like to be scared,
right? And
there's other people who they like the suspense, the thrillers, the development of characters where things happen, and they like the twists, which I would say is probably our personal favorite.
Yeah, where it's you don't expect it, but and you're like, okay, that
yeah, like, we know we have our slashers.
Yeah, that's a prop.
You know, we have our slashers we have our actual suspenseful movies that we prefer to watch.
Yeah, and the other one, the status that made me laugh was somebody put like, it was effing terrible, like it changed my mind, and I'm like, God, like,
bro, I'm not working that hard.
Yeah, and I'm like,
you can either like it or not.
Yeah, like just. Like, you don't have to, like, go aggro on Facebook or Twitter and be like, I hated it, it was fucking terrible.
I mean, even if you don't have a giant outreach, you're gonna, you can affect someone's opinion to not watch it. So this is actually a good series,
So, we were talking the other day, and you were telling me about some knockoff costumes that you found. Either Party City or probably, like, these Spirit Halloween stores.
They're sold at Spirit, too, yeah. So I found out that, it was on Twitter, and I was going through these things, and they're costumes so it's popular characters that get sold, and I don't know if I've told you a lot of them, but, so on the shelf, they're like, instead of paying the rights to it, they go through it, and
they circumvent it, like, so it's like,
yeah, so they're like
Terra the Explorer, or something like that.
Yeah, Isadora the Explorer.
Yeah.
But, so it's going through, it's the characters, and then I go, and it's, like, there's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right.
And so it's Blue Speed Mouse.
Blue Speed Mouse.
And so the other one I looked at, it was Beetlejuice, but it's Juice Demon.
Juice Demon, yeah, okay.
And so, I mean, they do the exact same thing. And then you have also, there's Where's Waldo?
Right.
But it's Where's the Stripey Dude?
Where's the Stripey Dude, man?
Yeah, I know, just imagine the book just being like, dude, where's the Stripey Dude?
Hey, guy, I can't find the Stripey Dude.
Yeah. And then always my personal favorite forever will be Hermione Grinder, which is she's the top student at Chalkboards.
But just the name Hermione Grinder, like they make it sound like she's some like wizard slut,
I mean, yeah, if you want to be sexy, you got to get the Hermione Grinder.
Hermione Grinder.
Would you like to participate in the Dual Witches Chalice?
Yeah.
That's how the Triwizard.
Yeah. So
that led us to think. The other thing we were thinking about was like costumes and stuff like that. Of how like back in the day, you have your favorite costumes
when you were dressing up for Halloween as a kid. Still,
I don't know what your favorite one was.
I think I had one that was I definitely like did more than once was the Red Power Ranger.
Yeah, I had a lot of Power Rangers.
That one got reused a lot.
Dude, I was definitely a fan of the Black Power Ranger.
Yeah,
I think at him all day.
Yeah, and I think green at one point I don't remember for sure.
Like the original one.
I remember one year I said to my mummy I wanted to be a mummy. But
are you proud of that?
Yeah, I know. I just came up with that, so it was. I thought it was pretty.
It snaps, dude.
Yeah. So
if you were talking to yourself,
so
that's what you would be doing.
Yeah. So I asked my mummy to make me a mummy, and her idea was, well, I'm just going to wrap you in toilet paper.
Well, I mean, I feel like everyone's had that. Like, that's the first go-to. It's like, wrap you in toilet paper, even though that's not meant for Florida heat at all.
Right, and not to mention we're poor, so it was like one-ply, like, gas station toilet paper.
She's not going to waste the Charmin on you.
Yeah. I expected her to, damn it.
What, just in case you got to go out there, you're going to give me the 2-ply?
So more or less, that lasted, like, all of 10 minutes. Like, we went to, like, 3 houses in the neighborhood, and that was it. But, like, my ultimate favorite was probably like Batman, because back in the 90s
Batman's my least favorite.
Well, the Batmans back then, like, if because I know you had a different one for mine, because we compared which ones, and it was like a onesie with a cape, but, like, the mask, it didn't have, like, the little cutout for your mouth and nose.
I'm glad we both are not good at English at all.
Yeah, today especially, apparently. Where your mouth and nose is, it's not like the new mask where it's cut out, like for the Dark Knight, for example.
Yeah, they always had. Now they make stuff out of plastic. Back when we were kids, they were all cloth,
right?
Because parents weren't going to spend money on stuff like that.
Well, and this one had like a plastic chin and two holes.
It's always a mouth hole.
And you literally like sweat your ass off like trying to breathe in that thing, and like to the point where you'd be like
it's bad when you can hear your breath on the mask, because when I did Power Ranger, when I did that, it had a mask, but
it was mask with
thin plastic
with the little string in the back, like for like a party hat, like that's how thin the string was.
You hear your voice, it's like when you're doing it, so you're just sweating in that thing. But still, by far, I'd say probably my favorites it's always going to be Power Rangers, because I think those are the costumes I remember the most.
Right.
And I would dress like that back to back, because that's the only thing I would dress as Halloween.
It's like,
it's either Power Ranger or Ninja, and then, like I said, my least favorite has got to be Batman.
And why is that your least favorite?
So at school, we used to have this Halloween parade, right? And so I don't really count Power Ranger as, superhero?
Nah.
So, this is my first superhero costume that I had. I was real into Batman, like Spider-Man and stuff like that. So I chose Batman that year for the Halloween parade, which we get to wear costumes at school. It's before, you could wear masks back then. And so I'm like, I'm going to get this Batman costume. There was a muscle version, and then there was, a normal cloth version, which I'm like, I want the muscles. And I was like, no one's going to care if you have muscles in your costume, right? So I get it. I go to school. One of my friends, his name's Austin. He gets the same costume, but he gets the muscle version. This kid is scrawny, and I'm a little chubby, 6-year-old back then, right? So he's sitting there. He's this little scrawny. He's like beefcake Johnny Bravo type. Yeah, and he's sitting there with he's got abs. He's got even his mask is better, and it's it actually looks like the shape of a mask. And it has, plastic in it to hold it up. And mine's this flaccid, form-fitting, tight costume, because they're one-size-fit-all, a little bigger kid back then. So I have this, form-fitting thing to where I look like out-of-shape Batman with this mask that's just, pressed on my nose. It's just, I'm, flat-faced in it, and we're both next to each other because we're friends. So they take pictures of us, and every time I ever look at that picture, I'm so depressed.
Right.
When I think about it.
Almost like a I guess a sunny side up egg on a nail, just kind of melting.
No, I hate to hold grudges against my mom, but come on. How can I get the muscle shirt?
Come on, Paula. What are you doing, Paula? So,
it's terrible.
Leading into our spooky stories for the week, the true stories besides the ones we just told you.
We figured we'd go and get some stories that actually happened, and I'm glad that people took the time to line up their terrible things that they did.
Yeah, just in time for this episode.
Just in time for the Better1 podcast.
So the first one we found, I used to watch it with my parents. Unfortunately, back in the day, it was Wife Swap.
Like everyone did.
Yeah, it was like one of those shows where it was forced, but
when you're younger, you watch a lot of basic cable shows,
right? And I think the show's over, I want to say.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't care. But according to Fox News, apparently it's not fake news, people. They're
Not yet.
Not yet. But apparently one of the sons that was involved in one of the families on the show, got charged with double murder because he killed his mom and his little brother. And then attempted to kill himself and failed.
Yeah. Shot himself in the head, right?
Yeah, he shot himself in the head, failed miserably, and now they're trying to make sure he's cognitively aware to go to trial for it.
I'm sure that's a rule with everything, but it just sounds weird. It's he clearly did it, but...
And he looks like... What's funny is he looks like Sloth's son, hey, you guys! Bang, bang, bang! So, it's... I don't know. To me, I'm like, well, that makes sense.
That Goonies do die.
Yeah, never say die. So it's just just creepy. The dude's like 26 and killed his 21-year-old brother and his mom. Like,
I mean, it's something you always dream of, but you just that guy did it.
Yeah, props to him. He just went for it, man.
I mean, sadly, it's not even the worst story of the week because there was this 11 and 12-year-old girls, middle school, right?
Right.
I'm sure you guys have heard of this on the news because it's a huge story. Set up, and then in their school, they decided we're going to kill 15 students, or we're going to try at least. And then so they decided to go into the bathroom where they were going to wait for students to come in, and then they were going to kill them. And then eat their flesh and drink their blood, leave their body parts on the front door of the school, and then kill themselves.
But the best part is the items, because they had a goblet, first of all, which just looks like a gaudy, wine glass that they stole from their grandmother's hutch or something.
They're probably like, well, let's not go all out on the goblet. We're not going to kill ourselves.
So these are the list of the items that they had. They had like a full-on Michael Myers chef knife. Right. And then they had a machete that was pretty short, a pair of scissors, a littler, duller kind of steak knife, and then to top it all off, folks, they had a pizza cutter.
That girl was sitting there, and then so they laid out all the knives in the bathroom. They're like, okay, what'd you bring from home?
Yeah.
and that girl brought up that pizza cutter, and the other girl probably looked at her and go, I'm so glad we're going to kill each other.
Yeah.
Because that is the dumbest thing you could ever bring.
That's all we had.
And I'm imagining this girl in her head was like, we could totally just cut him into slices.
Yeah. We'll cut him up like pepperoni, dog.
And I want to know, they had such this big plan. It was all written down, and they found out their text messages. They had an emo journal where they were writing, songs and stuff like that. And they were like, man, this is almost fit for a metal song.
Yeah,
this whole story is fucking metal.
Yeah, I was like, damn, metal. But if for the listeners, because me and Tyler know where it's at, but if I'm going to read you...
Can you guess
what state it was in? The tagline is, 2 Satan-worshipping girls plan to kill middle school classmates. Drinks victim's blood.
Yeah.
Well...
Metal.
Yeah, metal as fuck. So... More or less, I was like, please don't say Florida. Please don't say Florida. And I read it, and it says Bartow, Florida, everyone.
I the same thing. I'm like, please don't be Florida. Please don't be... And every time you see a story like that, you're like, please don't be Florida. And there it was.
So, but they thwarted these girls. But the way they found them still makes no sense to me. And this would,
I keep telling you how they found them.
They were just hanging out in the bathroom.
So they're in the bathroom. They're like, we're going to wait for victims, even though they said they wanted, different genders.
Yeah, and they were going to overpower.
Yeah,
that's what's funny is they made it specific. We're going to overpower the little kids, and I'm like, damn, that's fucked.
So they're like, we're not going to, don't get the big, stocky 8th grader. We're going to get the weak, scrawny 6th grader.
Yeah.
And, they were going to be choosy, and then when you think, I'm like, they were trying to get up to 15 people. They said in their journal that they wanted that many people.
Right.
And I'm like, how did they think they were going to get away with this? Because, first, you're in a bathroom. They're like, oh, we're going to slit their throats because they Googled how to kill someone the fastest, basically.
Right.
And they're going, oh, we're going to do that. And what do you think? It's just going to, it's all going to clean up. It's not going to spill all over the place. And then the next person to walk in is not going to be like, what?
What happened?
Yeah. And so they find out the reason the principal ended up finding them was because the automated system that calls your house when you skip classes and stuff sent to their mom, and her mom called the school and was like, that has to be a mistake. She went to school.
Right.
And so they went to look for her, and then they found the kid in the 2 kids in the bathroom.
Just chilling, just waiting on somebody to stab.
Like rubbing their hands.
I'm just picturing they're all standing there going, with the knives in their hands, and then the adult answers the door, and they're like, oh, never mind.
Mine was different. Was that they're peeking their heads up over the
over the stall.
And be like, do you want to do that one?
Yeah.
No, she's a little big.
Yeah. Never mind. That's it.
No way we're getting away with that one.
That's a big bitch.
Yeah, Gertrude ain't going down.
Yeah.
Easy.
So my first thought when I heard the story, I was like, well, have fun spending the rest of your life in a state mental hospital.
Oh, for sure.
Because these girls won't get tried. They'll just be like, they're crazy. Let's put them in a mental institution.
Yeah, you could do something, because I don't, as a kid, I don't remember doing none of that with my friends.
Me and Tyler knew each other when we were 11 and 12, and not once did we say, yeah, we should get knives and stab people in the bathroom. It was more like,
yeah,
hey,
we should get guns and wait in the bathroom and shoot.
Yeah. No,
we're more efficient.
Yeah, our more thoughts we had was, how do we like ditch having to do shit in gym class? So it was like, let's roll down this hill. That sounds fun, right?
So like, we don't want all the basketball's always taken. They're like, hey, let's play this whole full court game with like, and we're like, no thanks.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, we'll just go over here and roll down the hill and get hit with air potatoes by random redheads that get mad at us.
Hold grudges.
Yeah.
They pick up your friend and throw him like a napkin.
So, Tyler had another...
So I wanted to bring up the movie.
Yeah, just a little bit. He had another costume story.
No, wait, my costume story, yeah, but it's instead, the CDC has a warning. Halloween's dangerous. There's a salmonella outbreak out there. Please don't dress your chickens up in costumes. And that's the whole thing. Is like they were talking about like, oh, the salmonella is reaching like a critical level. Like a lot of people are getting it, and they found out that they don't want people to dress up their chickens for Halloween because it could spread salmonella. And I was like, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever read in my entire life.
I'm just picturing like Farmer Emmett like, hold on, I got to put a nice Peter Pan outfit on Beulah the hen.
Where's his Tinkerbell? The costume ain't gonna work unless there's a Tinkerbell.
We need all the Lost Boys, damn it. And Captain Hook, and then you just see a chicken with like a little hook taped to its wing.
And the alligator like chasing them. Like,
oh God. So
scattering feed in the yard, so they're all running around.
But what's funny is my old boss has chickens that she's taken in and like she's mothered, and I definitely need to show her this story.
Yeah, like, I have the same thing. Like one of my friends from EMT school has a bunch of chickens, and I'm sure that's the first thought on her mind was like, I'm gonna dress them little fuckers up. You know? I'm gonna make them look like a 6-piece of nuggets.
And the last like creepy Halloween-ish story that I had.
It's just because of the person, because he's a creep.
Yeah, is everybody? Well, not everybody, but Zach Bagans is from Ghost Adventures. This is our Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, you know where they play it up, and he's always like, he's got like this smoky voice.
Yeah, like, but I felt it, man. Stop it, demons! You know,
it's getting cooler in here.
Yeah. Yeah, the temperature dropped. Did you see that image on the FLIR camera?
Did you hear that? It's like a...
So I had to tell Tyler a little background. The title of this is that Zach Bagans got Charles Manson's false teeth.
Yeah, so he told me about this, and I'm like, but why?
And he also got his jumpsuit from prison, the last one that he actually lived in before he passed away. So Zach Bagans somehow befriended Charles Manson's grandson before he was getting ill.
He seems like one of those creeps that would do that.
Right. So more or less, he like gave him like unrestricted access to like the funeral because he's doing a documentary on him, and he let him get like some of the ashes, and like some of those ashes were used to like make this big painting of like that. You know, that Charlie Don't Surf picture of him just kind of like staring maniacally.
So what does he do with all this?
He has a paranormal, quote unquote, museum in Vegas.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense then.
Right, so that like for example, he has Ed Gein's cauldron that he had like body parts that he would like stew up and eat.
How creepy you gotta be?
And I think he has something from Ted Bundy. Mm-hmm. And maybe something from Dahmer too. It's just a and they
the letter with all like the newspapers.
They've done episodes where they've done just like investigations with other like average Joes that went, and they said it was kind of like ominous and a little dark and scary in there. So he got his teeth and he put them, and he also has like Charles Manson's TV set from his cell, which I'm like, okay,
whoa.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Like, what was New Orleans?
Yeah.
To the World War II Museum.
Yeah.
Like, Tight.
Click. And that's probably like 100 of the 200 pictures we took.
I deleted so many of
So, and then this jumpsuit that he has, they had to make a point, TMZ had to make a point of saying that it had his urine and fecal matter in it, and I'm like, okay, this is just taking it to a different level.
You think that's going to be on the sign when he puts it in the museum?
Probably. I have a feeling it'll be like, Charlie's piss and shit on this jumpsuit.
Gross.
Yeah, gross. Click. So that more or less kind of tops off our scary, weird, creepy stories for the week. So we had only two entertainment stories.
It gets scarier.
Yeah. Well,
ready for the Pirates reboot?
Yeah, which, talking about bringing it back from the dead.
Yeah.
They're rebooting the Pirates franchise. Thank you. And they're going to maybe take a step back and not have Johnny Depp in it at all.
I don't see why. I don't even know why you would want to watch Pirates of the Caribbean
without
him.
Jack Sparrow. Yeah,
he's the best character in that movie, bar none.
And and they even said like the franchise itself has made $4 billion collectively.
It's their most successful franchise.
It's their cash cow, and I mean, I don't get why they would just be like, we don't need Jack Sparrow anymore. That's cool.
They've already made the money. Where's it going to go?
Right. So that's more or less kind of like up in the air. I think it has to probably do with his domestic violence accusations and that he's basically like drinking away his fortune.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I guess that would be that they don't want to put him as a rum drinking pirate.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Borderline.
Yeah. Blackbeard-ish in real life. So then to talk about things that are dead, according to Lucasfilms or Kathleen Kennedy, who's over Disney and the LucasArts conglomerate of Disney, they're apparently just scrapping the Boba Fett movie.
That kind of makes me sad.
Yeah. Their idea was that they were going to push Solo first, even though that the Boba Fett movie isn't even done.
Like, see how it does.
Right, they were gonna push that first, and then that it didn't flop, but it didn't do great.
It was what they wanted,
right? So, and then Jon Favreau, I guess, is doing the Mandalorian live action series on Netflix.
I mean, Jon Favreau makes one of the better movies.
Yeah. So people are more or less looking forward to that, and I guess there was this screening, and Kathleen Kennedy more or less told this guy that the Boba Fett movie's dead, and I'm like, great,
because the one that we're most excited.
Yeah, I was about to say of all the standalone Star Wars movies, I would want to see the Fett Man up there on the big screen.
I mean, a move I would think would probably be genius is to take it to Netflix.
Yeah,
I think, or make it like a series or something like that.
Right.
I think it'd do well there.
That would be pretty cool.
I think stuff that doesn't do well as movies does well as series.
The only downside is that if you think about it, they have that Disney streaming service coming out, so they'd probably try and make it so fucking exclusive that they make you buy that for
charge them for tips, because that'd be genius if they push it to the Disney streaming.
Yeah,
they
sponsor us.
They were like, they're dying. How many times do we have to say this?
Children are starving. You know the drill.
Yeah, this whole spiel. But I mean, it'd be kind of borderline genius if they took these series and only exclusive to the Disney streaming service, where you can get all your Disney movies of your entire childhood,
right?
New ones for your kids, Star Wars stuff that you can see because Star Wars is exclusive. And I mean, I always thought this was a good idea that instead of you going to a movie theater, that you could pay to watch it on your TV.
True.
And I think that would be genius.
Well, and especially because they have the Marvel movies too.
Yeah.
They could do just the new Avengers movies or whatever the hell's next, So
I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure people are going to pirate it, but they do that anyway. They sit in the movie theater, they go to the latest showing of the movie theater, and then they set up a tripod and record the movie and stuff like that. So
right,
it's not like it would be terrible.
Right, it has potential.
Yeah, I think that's a good move, personally.
Yeah, but if you're cashing the check, Mickey, Better1 podcast gave it to you.
Please put in a check to the Better1 podcast.
Right. Okay.
Okay, fellow Flicks with a great idea.
So, this week we are doing the Pick 6 again. We're trying to do this bi-weekly.
Yeah, yet again, like I said in the last podcast, we said it'd be better in a video format, so we're going to push that. It's going to come out. We're going to shoot for Thursday.
Right.
Thursday.
All right. So make sure, because this episode will be separate from that. Make sure.
Yeah, the podcast comes out every single Monday, and then the Pick 6 will come out on Thursdays.
Right.
So it'll be 2 things a week that you can listen to and watch.
Right.
That's going to wrap it up today here on the show. I want to remind you guys, if you like what you hear, to subscribe on the YouTube. You can also listen to us on SoundCloud. The link will be in the description. I want to remind you guys, from mine and Josh's heart, to have a good Halloween.
Have a better one.